been able to get to it. Not everybody could. We had a reasonable turnout, but I don't think it was anywhere near the numbers of funders that there are, organisations that are out there rather. Then we discussed the priorities that we have in the current operational plan, and we talked about the potential for developing competencies, that is, agreed protocol or business, a way of working with voluntary organisations, so that we were happy with the organisation that they would meet an acid test almost, really, that they were comfortable with their own risks and their management structure, and they had governance and governance plans, etc. And those kind of things are in the core competencies that we're hoping to work with the voluntary sector now on. And what's planned? Well, much closer collaboration, much closer communication. We are setting up as a PCT a steering group which includes representatives from as many of the voluntary organisations as we can. We've invited every one of them, and I think at least 2 have been invited and hopefully are attending. The steering group will take place in October, and that's the beginnings of a real piece of solid work that we're going to do with the voluntary organisations on these competencies, so everybody understands and knows. And it's almost working towards an accreditation process, we're hoping. But we'll get into those discussions with the members of the voluntary organisations. And we also want to understand more, much more detail, comprehensively, what services are being delivered and what capacity providers have. What we're going to lead to is comprehensive service specifications from the profiling work. Now, some of you will have been contacted by members of the team in the PCT who are coming along to do some profiling work. For a very quick meeting, hopefully just to understand the real detail of what you're delivering. And that's going to lead to more detailed specifications. Because I know from a PCT perspective, we haven't got many specifications with many voluntary organisations. We will develop further dialogue on core competencies and business protocol. There is a business process now through what we call our commissioning executive team. You've probably heard that the provider arm and the commissioning arm are slightly separating off. So we have to have 2 separate teams to decide priorities, and the commissioning executive team will agree business cases. And what the team, the community commissioning team, will do is ensure that we work with voluntary organisations to develop the best business case possible so we get it agreed. Then it's left to the execs to decide. There is you may have heard about it, a draft national contract for community services. We're working on that. It's bigger than we wanted it to be, so we're trying to reduce it, and we're trying to get this proportionality in keeping with it. And we're working on a local draft for smaller services and a bigger draft for the much bigger contracts or the bigger tenders. So we'll probably have 2 types of contracts. Because if you're a very small organisation with a grant, you wouldn't want a huge, great piece of information about what we'd expect our business protocol to be. And also proportionality in terms of performance management, because there's nothing worse than having a huge amount of paperwork or anything, or data that you have to supply us with, if it's reasonable to get small amounts of information that we've agreed with you. And then we're going to use the service profiling that I mentioned earlier to use that to get intelligence or better understand the services. So we in the future will be able to develop with you business cases for planned and agreed enhancements. Because it'll be based on smaller proposals or bigger business cases depending on the amount of money. It all has to be robustly done in the future. I didn't want to bore too much, so I've just given a flavour of what's been planned and what we're doing, and I hopefully make up some time, because I think I'm about right. It's about 10 past it was meant to, so I made up the time. But I'm certainly willing to answer any questions. I do apologise, it's not the greatest and most exciting of presentations, but it was just to give you a flavour of what's going on. But I'm happy to take any questions, and if you need me to rattle through any other bits or go back to things that maybe I've